But this man was beaten to death at Abu Ghraib. And this is Sabrina Harman, who served 10 months for her participation in the Abu Ghraib scandal. And this is one of the mildest photos I can show you from Abu Ghraib. But the worst part of this is that this is the last memory that this family has of their loved one. So ask them what they think of Americans. This is the American legacy in Iraq. So what do? Get out. Immediate, unconditional withdrawal of foreign military forces from Iraq and Afghanistan. That's it. You will still hear the arguments, sometimes from progressives. It'll get worse when we leave. There will be civil war. I know. We set it up that way. We invaded illegally. We destroyed the infrastructure, making people desperate. There's no law and order. We dissolved civil society. We executed the only established government and put in a puppet government, and now we're wondering why things are a mess. There is a vacuum of power, and because the green zone, the puppet government really only operates in the green zone. What's happening in the rest of the country is mostly separate from that. So there's a vacuum of power, and there will be a battle for who will assume the next position. My question is, what are we doing to stop the bloodshed? I'm all for hearing suggestions of how staying in Iraq will help. I just haven't seen the evidence. Between 1.2 and 1.5 million dead Iraqis now, and more than 5 million refugees. This is the status with us in Iraq. This is what Iraq looks like today. This is a picture from July. You want to see what August looks like? This is August. That's what Iraq looks like. The violence continues every day. We have to stay and help. I'm not Iraqi, but I feel comfortable in saying, on behalf of the Iraqi people, they've had just about all the help they can take from the United States of America. The U.S. has imposed economic sanctions, killing between 1.2 and 1.8 million Iraqis. We've used napalm. We've used white phosphorus. We've used depleted uranium. We have less than 300 years of history in this country as a nation. They have more than 7,000 years of civilization. What if Iraqis were white? What if they were a predominantly Christian country instead of predominantly Muslim? What if they spoke perfect English? Would we have to stay there and help them so much? This is not a war on terror. This is a war of terror, and it has to stop. I guarantee you, it ain't going to be perfect. It ain't going to be flowers blooming the next day, but here's what happens. It's an end to the bombing raids. They are now buying some aircraft to be used by the Iraqi army, but everything is trained by the Americans and under the auspices and control of American administrators. So bombing raids would stop. This has been a significant cause of civilian morbidity and mortality, as I showed you. It would be the end of American-run prisons in Iraq, where early on the International Red Cross Red Crescent established that between 70 and 90% of those arrested were arrested by mistake and were never charged. It's the end of American-run death squads. This is something called the Salvador option. It was Operation Phoenix in Vietnam. It was the Salvador option in Latin America. It's sectarian strife in Iraq. But these are occupation-funded militias who are committing these atrocities. When we leave, it's the end of the murder, rape, and torture of Iraqis by Americans, and I guarantee you this. You bring the troops home from Iraq and Afghanistan, and they will stop dying there, and that is the only thing that will accomplish that mission. Iraqi unity. All right, y'all made it. We're up to the good stuff. Thank you for hanging in there with me. These are also the images you won't see on the evening news. This is from a demonstration in 2005. It seems they know how to do democracy. We don't have to show them. Massive demonstrations saying, "Get out." And here on the back of the American tank are the foreign press right there. You see, they know what's going on. They don't need a WikiLeaks video to tell them that we're killing their families. They know it. And this demonstration, this is an older picture. The Arabic is for them. The English is for the Western press. That's for us to read. These are demonstrations in 2007. This is a lot of violence in the streets, but people are fighting for their lives. These are public worker protests. These are the people trying to unionize and organize and defend their jobs. And this is opposition. The fastest reconstruction project in Iraq was the ghettoizing of Baghdad. the building of the massive cement ghettos separating Sunni and Shia neighborhood, the ethnic cleansing of which was effected by occupation militias. And Iraqis said, with our unity, we destroy all the walls of the occupation. They're not having it. It's not just my family that is mixed Sunni and Shia. That's Iraq. It's just everybody is mixed. This did not happen before 2003. More demonstrations against the walls. And this was Iraq winning the Asia Cup in 2007. Now you can look online and you can find out who's Kurdish and who's Sunni and who's Shia, but it doesn't seem to matter to them. And it didn't matter to the people watching in the Baghdad cafe. And Nouri al-Maliki in the green zone said, you know what, everybody just stay where you are, remain calm, and do not go in the streets or there will be violence. And Iraqis were like, do you know when was the last time we had something to celebrate? We're going in the streets, people. This was a huge step for Iraqi solidarity, and really, after being pummeled by years of occupation, a big moment for pride. So think of this when you think of Iraq. Iraqis can take care of themselves. This is a quote from Hassan Jamal Awad, who's president of the Oil Buster Workers Union. We know our land, we know our country. I'm going to forget the quote, but we can build our own democratic society. They know very well, better than anyone else, what should happen to the future of Iraq. So there is still hope alive in Iraq. So finally, ending the illegal occupation and starting the healing. What do we do? End the occupation. That is to say, remove U.S. troops from Iraq. In other words, immediate unconditional withdrawal of the United States. Soldiers and Marines, get on your planes and vehicles and just move out. Do not pass go. Do not collect $2 billion. Just go home. So I want to quote Muhammad Ali, who's been like brushed over as a commercial entity at this point, but he sacrificed everything. His life, his livelihood, his reputation, when he said, I'm not going to Vietnam. He said, I'm not going 10,000 miles to help murder, kill, and burn other people to simply help continue the domination of white slave masters over dark people the world over. This is the day and age when such evil and injustice must come to an end. And you can read that last line. And I was really hoping that all Latino service members would rise up after the passage of SB 1070 and said, no Iraqi never asked for my papers. Muhammad Ali went on to say, freedom means being able to follow your religion, but it also means carrying the responsibility to choose between right and wrong. So when the time came for me to make up my mind about going in the army, I knew people were dying in Vietnam for nothing, and I should live by what I thought was right, and now the whole world knows that. How do we do it? I wish I had the formula. I wouldn't have made you sit here for an hour and a half. I would have told you in the beginning. But it's every one of us doing what we're passionate about. Resistance. It's all of us resisting. And again, to mention Under the Hood Cafe, tomorrow we're having a press conference. Under the Hood Cafe is a space where soldiers can come, and it's a safe place away from the programming, where they can start to think things through and evaluate and start to think for themselves again. They've been programmed to be part of a unit. Don't hurt your unit. You're not hurting yourself, you're hurting your buddies. So let them deprogram, recognize that saving their individuality and their humanity is far more important. So we support GI resistance, support education, support the environment, support the arts, support the sciences, support your passion. I was in medicine, I was miserable. Now I get the opportunity to come and speak to you all, and obviously it's very therapeutic for me, so thank you very much. But no matter what your passion is, speak out. Whatever you're feeling in your heart, don't hold back. Somebody's got to do it. There's an Arabic proverb that says, fear not the path of truth for the lack of people walking upon it. Eventually, you get enough people on that road, and the rest will follow. So don't ever give up. It's been a long road. We still got ways to go. Iraqis are hanging in there. Americans, like you all, who spent your Sunday evening here. The world is persisting for justice. Together we persist for justice. And don't you dare give up until our mission is accomplished. Thank you all so much.
Prepare for takeoff, touchdown, Ben Gurion, strict search, make sure nobody enter with bombs. Blue, white flag for this birthright Toramon. Never mention 3 villages that the airport is on. Recent history buried, but it speaks to the sand. All Jews, law of return, I don't seem to understand. A land without a people for people without a land. But I see a man standing with a key and a deed in his hand. museum of the Holocaust. Walking outside in the distance, all ghosts throwing a Molotov. Houses burned with kerosene. Mass graves couldn't bear the scene. It wasn't a pogrom, it was the rules of their